Driving an export-based subsector will require maintaining the laws of the land for a revision of its applications. This is the view of the Cargo Services Manager of NACO PLC, Mr. Martin Clinston. He adds that the slump in the Naira, which is greatly affecting importation, presents an opportunity Nigeria should grab with both hands.
But it starts by comparing Nigeria and South Africa's export market.
South Africa has a very vibrant manufacturing sector, which requires a lot of imported products and components to do the final assemblies and manufacture. For instance, the auto industry, vehicles are produced in South Africa for the global right-hand drive model market. We also have a very strong agricultural sector that exports quite a lot to the Gulf area as well as to Europe, and the small amount going to the United States. In Nigeria, we are finding that because of the pressure on the Naira brought on by the rates of exchange in the parallel market and the lack of foreign currency, many people are looking at exploiting and developing the export sector, which is still very basic compared to South Africa. But there alone lies the opportunity and the challenge for Nigeria to step up to that plate and develop the industry further, which it can do. You have your people, you have your resources, you have water, you have land, minerals, and fuel. So those are the areas where you can place Nigerian products into the global market. Your immediate area where Nigeria would benefit would be in the agricultural sector. A, it's a quick employer of people, because as land starts getting cultivated, you need people to do that. And B, it will generate foreign reserves. Your seasons here are a lot better than in South Africa, being so far south. We have one basic season, whereas here you have many harvests throughout the year. What makes the product desirable on foreign markets? We need to look at a model where the quality of the product exceeds that of the competitor, as well as the access of supply to that product being as long as possible. It matches gaps and lulls in the global harvesting cycle to be able to present those products to diverse consumers around the world. And secondly, the quality of the handling and the preparation and the packaging of the cargo is very important as well, which would also then result in pricing being a very sensitive matter. The reason being that the nations that compete against Nigeria in the horticultural sector are well established. They have had access to these markets for many years, and to lever them out, you're going to have to look at some very spectacular pricing to make the products attractive. It's very simple. We have various agencies. Let's start with the most important one, being the Nigeria Customs Service. They are there to look after the revenue of the state or the federal government, plus also ensure that business is facilitated smoothly and correctly. After they're involved with processing exports, the various agencies such as the NDLA and NAFDAC, the bomb squad and the other agencies involved in export get involved in the process. So by the time you've taken your business through that whole pipeline, just the agency expense already prices your product out of the market. Comparatively speaking to countries like Abidjan or Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan exports and Ghanaian exports are a lot cheaper already because their cost of doing business is so much less. What we would need to look at is the laws of the land being maintained, but the application of the checks and balances being revised. Before we can even look at handling perishable products, we cannot expect them to arrive in a non-refrigerated truck, for instance, because that defeats the object of the exercise. Harvesting at farm would require some sort of a blast cold store environments where you reduce the temperature at harvest and then thereafter maintain it all the way through to the destination. Before one can even look at doing anything, I have some radical ideas about that. First one being that we would need to overhaul the cargo facilities to create a perishable export center, which is geared totally on receiving products at a good temperature, at the required temperature, and maintaining the temperature all the way through, from inspection all the way through to the airline acceptance, the building up of the loads onto aircraft pallets and containers, cartage down to the flight, loading on board the aircraft, and then again at the other side of the destination where the cold chain is maintained. At the moment, we don't see that. We're in a very hot, very harsh environment. The problem with product is if you have a temperature spike, you get condensation and your decay process starts immediately. There's no way you can reverse that. And that is where we have to look at the quality side of the business, which relates back to cost. Looking at Murtala Muhammad International Airport, it's the biggest cargo center in Nigeria. Exports have grown already because of our markets in West Africa and some consumer goods that go into the Gulf areas and into Europe. But those flights leaving Nigeria are flying three-quarters, half empty. It means that the cost of that rotation from origin to Nigeria and back home is actually paid for by the import cargo. So you can see it's a total interdependent relationship. Whether the public and private sector would want to look at putting together a perishable center, bringing all the stakeholders together into a more streamlined and efficient way of doing business, that would be the key point to move forward with generating exports of perishables from Nigeria.
After the break, we peep into the world of Nigeria's domestic airlines. Do join us again.